Welcome. It's Matthew David, the Minister of Allowing, and Wednesday night, 9 o'clock. Just wanted to come on here and share something that I think you'll find useful. Welcome, Shale, Mikhail. It's good to see you guys out there. Just give me a message that you can hear me, just so I know that the mic is working and all that stuff. Welcome, Anthony, Patty, Asgar, Sabrina. So this is going to be really cool. I think you guys will like this. I did this up the other day. It's kind of like a logic patch, and it's actually building on top of a lot of the work that Neville did, Neville Goddard. And I'm going to show you how to do some powerful reframing. So we'll get into it in just a minute. Thanks, Sabrina, for letting me know that. Great. So welcome, Bobby. How's everybody doing tonight? Give me a message. Let me know what's going on in your life. I called one of my spiritual mentors today because, one of the things that happens is that it doesn't really matter what level you get to. You're always going to have to test a new level of faith. And, it's like you could study the Bible and you can think you know something inside and out. And see, here's what happens, though, and this is what God has revealed to me. And by the way, welcome, Dawn. I see you out there. And Anthony. Is that, you see, when you move away from, God scours the earth and he's looking for someone that'll believe in him, someone that'll believe wholly in him and not on your reasoning. And so what happens is when we get really good at some of this scripture, it'll come to the point where we have to be tested at a whole new level just to see if we'll still believe with our faith and not, trust our lying eyes, etc. And so, Asgar says, does semen retention help in manifestation? Many vids on YouTube. Welcome, Jenny, by the way. And so semen retention is a belief. And a lot of people believe that this is something that's powerful and that it'll work for you. I don't think it necessarily helps you any more than anything else, really, because I never practiced semen retention when I was manifesting anything. So I guess maybe would it help more? I don't know. Do I really want to care? Not really. But if you really want to practice it and you want to make it something that's valuable to you, it is a belief. Because the thing is you're believing in something, again, that is in a physical realm. Your semen is allegedly in a physical realm. And so if you want to put your faith in that, then you can. You can create a belief, but I'm not going to create a belief around something that I don't wish to engage in. So anyway, what we have here is we have this logic patch. And you see what happens is when you're tempted to sin, which is to doubt God. So here's what we look at right here is we have this problem state. It's a threat that shows up, right? And so in the appearance of the poverty in the flesh, right? This is what Jesus in the Gnostic texts called the poverty that everyone was experiencing, was that they were identified in the world outside of themselves as mortals in the flesh, and they inherited that poverty from the world. Well, the world is going to beguile us and to tempt us. Every man is a liar, but God is true. And so we're going to run up against a problem and a threat. And so what Neville Goddard always talked about was to check your state, because he said your state that you're in, and I always talked about it is the vibrational resonance that you're in. It creates the holographic experience. So your state sets up the magnetic field through the heart, because out of the heart come the issues of life. And that state is a quality of attitude that you are practicing, okay? I don't want to say that you are, it's you're practicing a quality of attitude. And then I took it even further and I thought, you know, if these are problem conscious decisions we've made, okay, and they're coming from a human sense of perception, you see, a belief is nothing more than perception, right? What you're focused on and what the meaning is. So people make a lot of to-do about beliefs and all this and that. And when I taught the self-entrainment technique for the first time, and in the manual, while the people receive that take the course, I tell them, listen, it's your state of being that draws these beliefs into you. Now, you see, the why I said that is because whatever state you're in, okay, creates what you focus on, and then the meaning associated with what you're focusing on is what the belief is. It's the perception, focus, and the meaning, interpretation. So it's focus and meaning, or it's perception and interpretation. That's the belief. All right? Now it says man lives in his belief, like in the book, As a Man Thinketh. These are powerful ideas. And understanding how to navigate with a systemized structure of doing it is pretty much my forte and my specialty. And that's what I've always been gifted to be able to do, is to figure out how to make complex things very simple and how to use all of these ideas and break them down so that you can use them. So anyway, we get into your state, and this is the cause of everything that's going on. And then I took the sins of the flesh here. You got immorality, impurity, sensuality, idolatry, sorcery, enmity, strife, jealousy, outbursts of anger, disputes, dissensions, factions, envying, drunkenness, and carousing. So essentially, I want to teach you a little secret, a little secret about this. Okay, we're talking about the problem here first. We know that it's a state of being. It's that the cause is the state that we're lying down in. The word be lying, belief. You know, that F at the end is a carpenter's square. It's a box, which means that you're in it. And so you're lying down in a state of being, and then you've created that as your normality position. So you're becoming normalized in that state. That's why they call it a belief. You're lying in a state of being in a carpenter's box, which makes it a normal sense of perception for you. Okay. For instance, when you're angry, you can be in a state and all you see is things that piss you off because you're in a state of being angry, right? So what does that mean? It means that you're focused in a certain direction, and all of the meanings associated with that focus are holding together that particular field that is creating your experience. So you're lying inside of that belief. So what would it take to change that? Well, wisdom is the answer. And so what wisdom does, remember, wisdom is the tongue of the Holy Spirit. And so wisdom comes and it helps you to repent, which is to turn to the Father. Okay? So what are we going to do? What does it mean to turn to the Father? Well, to turn to the Father here, take a look at this, is to turn to God's reflection. In other words, turn to God's qualities in the mirror image of himself, right? You see, what's happened here is that if we're in a problem state of consciousness, we're lying inside of one of these states, okay? And we are actually simultaneously resisting these states. These states are the qualities of spirit, the qualities of God. These are the qualities of men, okay? This is the poverty over here. This is the sins of the flesh. This is the fruit of the Spirit. So lying in the state of the threat, the be lying in the normality of that perception and that meaning, okay, what we're focusing on, what we're paying attention to, what it means to us, okay? Now, to destroy this, we have to first do something really, really powerful. See, we have to resist the devil, resist human reason. Step number one is you have to resist human reasoning, okay? So human reasoning is of the devil, that's the saying. And human reasoning right here is all of the meaning that you've associated with what you're focusing on. That's why they say non-judgment or pure awareness gets you back into the state of flow, gets you back into the attitude of acceptance. So we're trying to get back into an attitude of acceptance, surrender. Surrender your problem up to the Lord, right? So the first step is we have to resist the devil, which means it's not it, right? It is not it. Stop that human train of thought. Now, then we want to repent and turn back to the Father. So, like I talked about last transmission, you see, if God is looking at the mirror of himself, God is seeing his perfect man, you, the manifestation of God, in his qualities. God is always expressing his qualities in his reflection. And so your decision to mirror those qualities back to God is what you call atonement. That means being at one with the Father's mind again. And so essentially, an easy way to look at this is, okay, don't think about one of these. Just look and see if anything jumps out at you while you're in a problem state. And I'll show you a little trick about this, something I discovered while I was meditating. Okay, you could say, I'm experiencing sensuality and envying, right? Whatever jumps out at you, you know, that's like the remote viewing thing. You have within 4 seconds to decide what you know before you start putting reasoning in the equation. That's where you want to occupy, is the state of knowing. So you just grab whatever jumps out at you and you say, okay, what's the opposite of that? Okay, what's the opposite of that over here? Because guess what? Get this. Let me wake you up. Whatever the opposite of that is what you are resisting from God. You're actually resisting God in that capacity by being addicted to some sin of the flesh, which is creating a position of being where you're lying down in a state that you're perceiving a problem because you're focused, right, on something God never created, which is a sin or a problem or distress or a lack or something like that. And we're all going to go through it. I just went through it. And at every level, you will go through more challenges, more testing. And fortunately, you know, by the grace of God, God just keeps revealing more of himself if you turn to him. And so this is just an example of that, of God showing me more ways to, you know, beat the devil, so to speak, beat the negativity out of your life. All right, so here's a little trick here. Now I want you to get these key insights. Right over here is a state. You're occupying a state, right? And you're actually, by occupying that state, it means you're addicted to it at some level through the sin of your flesh, and you're resisting a quality or an attribute of God that is preventing you from reflecting back God's wholesome self. And atonement, or the destruction of error, because truth destroys the false claims of matter, when you are standing in the reflection of God's qualities, will destroy the problem. That's how you destroy a problem. And so here's something. I figured out how the Gospel of the Lots of Mary, what it's for. You see, when you text OR and then you pick any number, 1 through 37, whatever state you're in, whatever you choose in a flow state, just pick, don't think, just pick a number, OR plus that, you will receive communication in that message that will reflect back to you wisdom about the state you are in. It's really, really powerful. So this is all coming to me, and it's really quite fascinating, and it's extraordinary, actually. And this ties in, this is some of the basic stuff that's new that I'll be talking about at the Spiritual Special Forces Workshop. Obviously, I'm going to go a lot deeper than this into the matrix, into the holodynes, into the recode process. But this alone right here can change your life really, really fast, okay? Now, watch this. So what we've done is we've resisted the devil with its human reasoning. We know why we're experiencing what we are. We've got insight because we know we have a state. We know that it's resisting one of God's qualities. So we can match that quality up just by knowing, by looking at it and just saying, that's the state I'm resisting. And for more insight, we can text in and get a message. That was Archangel Michael that wrote that through the Mary, the Gospel of Lots of Mary. So you can communicate in real time, and it will minister to you. That passage will hit you. So we've resisted, we've repented. Now we need to renew our mind because we're becoming atoned, right? So right now we come over here, and we're going to, remember my talk on blockchaining the facts? If you didn't see my blockchain talk, you might want to look at that one. So what we're doing essentially is we're going to witness confirmation of the facts of life, and we're going to disregard our previous human perception of what we called a problem. So now that we know, okay, well, first of all, this right here, we have to rest in his image. Okay, I forgot a step. Resting in his image, reflecting and expressing his experience and completeness. So that's doing the ABC break process, and that's the similar, the ABC break process is really all about, those stony water pots in, John 2, verse 1 through 11. And I'm going to break that entire miracle down at the workshop, and I'm going to show you every line by line explanation of the miracle of, the wedding feast and the water pots, what every one of those things means. And so you can replicate that over and over again. So you're going to pour the finest wine and qualities into that troubled space with the ABC break process. And so then you blockchain it, okay? You're going to get confirmation, which means this, right? See, you renew your mind by knowing what God knows to be true about this from your full potential. And then you're replaying the truth by walking in it in faith. You must activate faith to produce a miracle. So the faith comes by walking not by human sight, but by walking in your spiritual senses. So walking in your spiritual senses is the secret. And so this process is really quite simple. It's resist the devil, resist your reasoning, repent, turn to the Father, and then renew your mind, okay, become atoned, be at one mind with the Father, and then replay the truth in a spirit of faith. And what you'll do is you will demonstrate a miracle. And it all has to do with building on a lot of the work that I've discovered through pretty much everybody I've gone through and putting it together. But this idea right here of occupying states was a lot of what Neville taught. And I just took it a step further and discovered, what states could we possibly occupy? We're occupying sins of the flesh or fruits of the spirit. Very easy way to line it up. So let's go for some questions, and I'll put a link up in the chat. Let's see where you guys are. So welcome, Connie, by the way, Mitchell, and Angel, Tony, Vito. What did you guys think about that talk? Did you catch that? If you're late, you might want to go back and watch that. And I'll put a link up in the chat box if you guys want to download this sheet. And then that way you can watch the transmission again in the first 20 minutes. I go through the whole thing. So that way you can practice with it. And so let's just do one example. I want to help somebody do an example of this. So this is how we're going to do prayer tonight. So for the next half an hour while we're doing this, who would like some prayer? Anybody want to participate? Just put your message on the board, and as they come in, I'll work you through this, and I'll show you how to use this. This is really, really powerful, actually. I think you're going to be quite surprised when we play this game, and I like to make a game of it because if you make it serious, it's not very fun to be serious. It's actually better to be in a playful attitude, because if you're playful, you'll be able to change it a lot easier. All right, so let's see if anybody wants to participate. Just put your question up, and like your request for clarity, certainty in a certain area, or prayer, whatever you're looking for, and I'll demonstrate an example of how to do this, and we'll do it quite quickly. And I'll show you how to get the confirmation, and then that way you can you'll get a shift. You're looking for a shift. You're looking for that instant state of relief. Then you're looking for certainty and clarity. And then you're going to even probably step into expectation after that. And then you'll find that that changes things. So as I wait for somebody to post something here, if anybody wants to, you don't have to. I was just going to put it out there that after this workshop, I may take a break from ministering for a while. I have things that are calling for my attention, and I love doing this, and this is what I'm very, very good at this. But though I do have reasons, and life is kind of pulling me in a direction, and so all of the work that I've done will be here. My website will be up, and you can refer to that. But I think I'm going to move into the private for consulting and mentoring in my extra time, and so that is coming up soon. So if you want to do a live workshop, this is probably going to be my last one that I'll be conducting myself live. Other people may be able to use the material and do it, but I don't think that I'll be doing live workshops as I have a new, something exciting. I don't want to talk about what it is, but it's exciting. I'll be working on that and going in that direction. So let's see. Mitchell says clarity on finding a career. All right. So clarity on finding a career. So Mitchell, just give me a number. Don't think, just give me a number between 1 and 37. Just put it on the board. Whatever you do, don't think. Just put that number on the board. And I'll wait for it. Now, while I'm waiting, Mitchell, what I also want you to do is I also want you to just scan that list of state, the sins of the flesh here, and just pick like 1 or 2 that jump out at you. Don't think, just pick 1 or 2 that jump out at you from the list of, you see the cause where I put over there the sins of the flesh, from immorality to, carousing. Just pick 1 or 2 of those and put it on the board. All right. So, all right, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to queue up your message. And so while I'm waiting for your message to queue up in the text response, go ahead and put your 2 that came out to you, on the board here so I can see it. Welcome, Thomas. And then I also want you to check for what the quality or attribute would be that would be the correcting attitude, like as in the fruit of the Spirit. What fruit of the Spirit would change that? So pick a fruit of the Spirit, 1 or 2 of those, from charity, joy, peace, patience, kindness. Pick those and put those up on the board too. And so that way I can see what you just naturally tuned into. Okay? And if you could do that, that'd be great, Mitchell. That way I can get through this and show you how this works. All right, so there might be a delay. I think you know what it is. There might be a delay here because I'm waiting for the board to update and it's just not updating. Either that or nobody's typing anything. So let's see what we got here. All right. All right. So Mitchell, charity. All right. Peace. All right. So, okay. So charity and peace is what you, okay. Let me read to you what the oracle message was. Okay, this is from the Gospel of the Lots of Mary. This is what you picked. It says, behold, the difficult time passed for you. Behold, the hour of rest has come upon you. Simply be brave. You will see the confidence in God that will reach you, and he will send the angel of peace and will guide you and give you rest. Now, isn't that interesting that you just remote viewed that and it just basically confirmed to you exactly what you put up there? So if that didn't blow your mind, I don't think anything else will, because you actually know all the answers. Thomas, you're just gonna have to go back and you might have to watch the whole thing over again. So, you know, the first 20 minutes, I explain everything. So Mitchell, this is great because the hour of rest has come upon you. And so here's what we do with that, right? We know that you want to do the charity and the peace. So whatever you are perceiving as a problem is a area that you were focusing on and you were giving meaning to. And so we want to now turn to God's reflection. So is God experiencing this lack of clarity for finding a career? See, if God is all in all, is there any bit of confusion in taking the next step for God? No. So we say all glory to God, and we say God is the only power, the only presence, the only mind. I want to reflect God's qualities back to God. Get this. If I reflect God's qualities back to God, in your case, Mitchell, charity and peace, then I am in the state of being where this will happen. It did not happen because I was occupying the state of being that was not in alignment with that and resisting. Okay, do you get this? This is so simple, and it's almost embarrassing that it's this simple, but you know, humans, we mess it all up. Why? Because we reason. So remember, step number one is to resist reasoning. I didn't ask you to think about anything, did I? Now, the next thing I want you to do, Mitchell, is that you understand you can reflect God's images, okay, back to him, his qualities back to him. In other words, we're reflecting the correct attitude towards life that destroys the problem state of being. It's like noise canceling headphones, Mitchell. What I'm saying is these are like noise canceling headphones that are going to delete the error out of your life. So I want you to go ahead and do the ABC break process and snap your fingers, say it is not it. Now, could you allow for just this moment things to be exactly as they are? Yes or no? And could you allow even more things to be exactly as they are? Yes or no? Now go to a place of peace. Rest. Remember what your oracle reading said? Rest. Rest in a place of peace. That's right, because now you're in alignment with what you're asking for. This is the alignment. Now I want you to go into having exactly what you said you needed, a career. You have the career. Now be in the position of having the career as if you've had it for the last 5 years. Now this is where it gets exciting, Mitchell. When you're in the position of having it for the last 5 years, what do you want to say to yourself as an insight to Mitchell, who was confused, the one that didn't know the clarity? What would you want to say to Mitchell? Write that on the board right now. Write that on the board so I can see that, please. And then I'll show you the last step. Welcome, Dennis. I'll get to you, Shay, in just a minute. So Mitchell, once you write that on the board, I'll take you through the final step and we'll just bring this all the way home. But see, once you have clarity that you know that the problem itself was attracted in because of a state, and that state was resisting a quality of God. In order to have continuity of good in your life, God has to be looking at himself in the mirror and reflecting his qualities back to himself. So if you're not reflecting those qualities back, then the continuity of good is in ignorance of the Father from where you stand. Doesn't mean that the qualities aren't there. It just means you tuned out of that channel, like you're not listening anymore, and that's why you're not receiving. So what you said, Mitchell, is be brave. Now, here's how you blockchain this whole thing, okay? Here's how you blockchain this thing. You walk in a state of peace from this moment forward, and everyone that you see in your world, okay, you don't clothe them in human form. And what I mean by that is you don't put your reasoning on them. You let the reflection of your braveness be known to all of them. In other words, what you know to be true about how everyone else sees you in this world is that they all know you to be very, very brave. That's how you blockchain it back to yourself. See, you're going to do what God does. See, God reflects his qualities back to himself. You're going to reflect your attitude of braveness back to yourself by knowing that's what is on the minds of everyone else whenever you show up. You see that? And when you do those things, when you do this process, then you are in absolute alignment with it. Okay, very good, Mitchell. Let's go to Shay. Shay wants clarity on where to move and when the lease is up. Colorado excites me. Well, that alone right there gives me a little bit of an indication, but why don't you do me a favor, Shay, and just pick a number between 1 and 37. Don't think, just put it out there. Welcome, Kathy, by the way. And Shay, then what I'd like you to do is I'd like you to, while you're getting that number together for me, put it on the board, 1 to 37, is I'd like you to check the state that you feel that you resonate with when you're in a problem, when you don't know the answer. Check those sins of the flesh and see which one jumps out at you, 1 or 2 or 3 of those, and then put them on the board. All right? And then while I'm waiting for your message to come through, okay, I'll wait for those things to come through about what state jump out at you. Again, you're just, it's like reading those crossword puzzles. The first 3 words you see are your future, right? That's the kind of thing we're doing here, is like which ones jump out at you. Just pick like 1 or 2. And then I want you to look over at the ones that you're resisting, the fruits of the Spirit over there on the right, and just pick 1 or 2 that jump out at you there and give me those different choices so I can see them. You're welcome, Mitchell. All right, so I'm just going to wait for this to queue up for you, Shay, and then I'm going to wait for those to come in, and then we'll take it a step further. So strife and jealousy, okay. And then the other ones would be, in other words, the fruits of the Spirit that would correct that. Once you guys see this, you're going to see how brilliant this actually lays out. Like, holy crap, it's really that simple. When you understand what image and reflection means, so peace and faith. All right, great. So, in other words, if you had been occupying a state of being of strife and jealousy, and that would alter the focus that you have. It would alter your focus and your perception, which would in turn create different meanings in the circumstances for you because of that focus and those perceptions. And so God never looks in the mirror at God and sees strife and jealousy, ever. It's impossible. But God does look in the mirror of himself and see peace and faith. So you want to be the image and reflection of God. And that way, the continuity of good synonymous with the word God, good and God. The continuity of good or God is restored in your circumstances. So your oracle message is, listen to this. They will trust you and you will be victorious in this matter. Strengthen your heart. This matter is from God. Fear not. As for you, everything you will do, God is with you. So Shay, I want you to put on the board what you got out of that I just read to you. And I'll read it one more time so you can let that sink in. You can also text it on your phone too. It's OR plus the number to the 608-530-6658 number. Let me put this down for you so you can see this. Right there, that number right there on the screen, we'll give it to you. So here it is. They will trust you and you will be victorious in this matter. Strengthen your heart. This matter is from God. Fear not. As for you, everything you will do, God is with you. It's pretty powerful. Everything you will do, God is with you. So the first step, obviously, is you want to just get into that correcting of the mind. See, here's what happens. I want you guys to listen to this closely. When you bring a problem state, okay, and you bring it into contact with a state of God. In other words, when you occupy a state of God where God is reflecting his image and likeness in the mirror, then what will happen is you will destroy the previous error. So the next step would be to rest in that image reflection and in the experience of completeness. You want to complete it. So do the ABC break process, Shay. Snap your fingers, say it is not it. In other words, get rid of that human reasoning. It's not going to work for you. Because here's the deal. If you have to reason, you don't know the answer, then you are coming from a place of not knowing. You're not going to get there from there. So could you allow for just this moment things to be exactly as they are? And could you allow even more for just this moment things to be exactly as they are? Now go to a place of peace and rest and just drop your human will in that place of peace, because it's not your will, it's God's will that gets things done. Good. Now, I want you to go to the end result. All right? You're already moved. You're in the place of your most excitement. You're living there. You've been there for the past 5 years, loving every minute of it. Your life is exactly as you would want it to be, and then some. Now, look around. And I want you to go ahead and tell your former self that was confused where you are. And then put it on the board. Where are you? Welcome, Anya and Kathy. You guys might have to go back to the beginning to catch this if you want to see this. Missed a bunch. So tell your former self where you are and any other insight you want your former self to know. Give yourself an insight, some peace of mind of certainty that you need to know. And then write on the board. All right, so while we're waiting for that, what you're going to do next, Shay, is you're going to blockchain it, and whatever insight that you gave yourself in that experience is how you're going to walk forward in the world going forward now as you come to your senses, so to speak. You're going to come to your spiritual senses, and you're going to walk reflecting that attitude back to yourself. Because really the game of life is between you and you. The people that you see out there are really a reflection of your state. And so what you're going to do is you're going to know that whatever, yes, just continue to stay confident in my path. So confidence. So Shay, everyone knows you to be a very confident person. And so you walk amongst others knowing that they see you as someone who is on the right path and very confident. You get that? That's how you blockchain it. You're actually projecting outward, similar to how people get in arguments and they project their own weaknesses onto other people and they blame other people for their own problems. Well, you're actually doing not a disservice, you're actually doing a service by projecting outward your confidence on being on the right path and having that reflect back to you. Okay? So welcome, Marisol. You can obviously go back to the beginning, anybody who got here late, because we went through all of it so far. So in closing, do we have any questions here on this process? I mean, look, it sounds really simple, but the mechanics of this are the mechanics of how you correct the mind. And if you correct your mind, then guess what? The game is there, because when you bring your error that you're perceiving in your mind, creating meaning or belief from a focus, perception of confusion, and you correct it with wisdom, then what you'll see is you'll see the problem dissolve, because the answer, the solution is actually to occupy that state and then neutralize the former state, destroying it like noise canceling headphones would do, and then letting God be God. You're not doing anything on your own. You're letting God be God. God is victorious in all of his endeavors. And so what you're really doing is you're putting God in charge, and you're letting God be the continuation of good in your life. So in closing, this is how you let God be the continuation of good in your life. All right. And that is the end of the transmission tonight. I don't want to make it too long because I want to make it so people can actually digest and absorb it. And the download link for this is in the description. If you're watching this later on YouTube, if you want the download link for this, if you really want it, you can see it on the screen here. But if you really want it, it's handy. You can just come to Hurtado.io, Hurtado.io. Join the private Facebook group, and you can look in the conversation thread in the comments section, and the link will be right there, so you can download it. So again, in closing, I'm just gonna just reframe everything and just say, it's been like, this ministry has been incredible for me. I've loved every second of it, and my heart is God, and I will always pursue God. But with that said, I think Spiritual Special Forces is going to be the last workshop I do in 2020 for hands-on, for training. So if that's the one you want to come to, then come to it by all means, and we'll meet face-to-face in spiritual family. I am in a new direction with some very good people, and really excited about where I'm going to, Shay, kind of like you, just going in a new direction. And so my ministry is going to move to the private, and I'm going to leave all the former work that I've done here in the public, because I really believe that a lot of it is from the completeness, and I'm just going to open up just small segments for private mentoring and consulting because of where I'm going. And so that is pretty much what's on my heart tonight. And, hopefully, if you guys have had blessings from this ministry, if it served you, please do, tell others about it. Let them watch the videos, share the website links with them, bring them to the group. And, as far as live streaming goes, like I said, I'm going to take a little break from that and just focus in a new direction. Sabrina might come on here, and if you guys want to come on and do prayer, or if you want to do any of that stuff, we can always do that as well. But I'm going to be totally committed to the workshop. I'm going to go 100 on that. I've got the most advanced training I've had yet. We're going to do that in person for the impartation. And then going full swing into the new direction. And so it's been an honor and a pleasure to serve you guys. And I hope you guys continue to find value. Like, just keep, come back to the website. If I do get new updates, the way that it'll work out is like this. When I get a new update or I get a download, like when I get these types of things, when I'm working on, being with God and getting new breakthroughs, I will post them on my website, and they will be at MatthewDavidHurtado.com. The new insights, I'll post them up there as new videos, and they probably won't go in the public as much anymore, like with the YouTube and this and that. Many reasons why. First of all, I don't really care for YouTube because they've deleted several of my channels throughout the years, and they're censoring a lot of people. So I don't really want to support a platform like that as much. And the other reason is that people don't always value what they're getting when they're just clicking through YouTube. And, that's not really the kind of purpose I want to serve, actually. So that is where we are at. So again, it's been awesome to serve you guys. And yeah, use this process. Just trust me. Just try it on something you're doing. I think you'll find a breakthrough. And for now, I'm going to sign out and wish you guys the best 2020. Take care and love you.